everybody, and welcome back. I am the Sovereign, and this is my court. If this is your first time in attendance, hello. Please consider hitting the subscribe button before you leave our kingdom, and I would like to send out a very big, warm, royal greetings to everyone in my Patreon coterie. If you are unaware, I do have a Patreon. Some of you inquired as to how you could further support the channel, and I did not feel comfortable accepting like donations and types of things like that without feeling like I was able to give something in return. So that's why I created the Patreon, where those members are privy to a lot of the behind the scenes tea, knowledge, and extended cut videos that the rest of you have not seen, including my personal thoughts on specific members or women that have won titles that maybe I had disagreements with, or specific influencers from countries that I shall not name who shouldn't have been running their mouth about the pageant queens I love, personal knowledge about my life and my family. They have been sipping some tea for the last about year at this point. So we definitely want to say hello and give a shout out to Callie Steve, Lydia Isabel, Cheyenne Lacey, Miss Cement, S.A., Juan Pablo, very easy to find him down in the comment section somewhere. He's a very knowledgeable pageant fan. Sarah, Tracy Barkley, Ricky Landhill, Lee. What up, Lee? You guys see Lee all the time. Hey, he does have moderator powers in the kingdom, okay? Don't piss him off. And Gwen Goodwin. Those are the people that have the insider tea knowledge on what's been going on over there and what's been going on with me. If anything does happen to me, the coterie members will know. Quite honestly, if the coterie members don't know and I've been absent for a period of time and Lee can't tell you why, somebody come send a search party for me because I've probably been kidnapped, okay? These are also the people we want to say thank you to for the wonderful audio that has been brought to the channel recently. I have a brand new microphone, and this is thanks to members of the coterie who have been around and helping out with the channel. If you didn't know, everything's not butterflies and unicorns over here. I have at least 2 months worth of AdSense tied up in Google glitches right now. So that's just, it's kind of like stuck. Not to say that Google pays me the big bucks, because they really don't. I'm talking like, oh, this is a $7 video. I don't complain about it. I enjoy being here with you guys, but I do want the coterie members to know what happens when they are able to contribute. And this audio is thanks to you. So you guys make sure, go to the Kingdom Discord, thank them for being supportive, and see if you can squeeze any tea out of them, because they know some things. All the links to the Kingdom Discord, the Patreon, my social media has always been in the description box below. If you want to find me and talk to me or yell at me, whatever, you guys know I'm down with anything. Okay, so I heard that there was more news, more videos of the Miss Universe Philippines contestants, and they are doing an interview challenge this time. And I didn't plan on sitting up this morning and watching it, but it's me. And of course I sat in my pajamas and watched it and made a list. So we're here to talk about the interview challenge. The purposes of the interview in a pageant competition is to demonstrate that you are more than a pretty face, that you actually have words and something to say, something inspirational, some knowledge to impart to the public. It is your time to prove yourself. And in this scenario, these women are trying to prove that they deserve to be amongst the top 30 candidates for the Miss Universe Philippines crown. Now, in general, as I'm watching the interviews, I have to say that I expected a bit more. You know, every batch of contestants is going to be different year to year. I expected to have more, I expected to be more impressed. I expected more interview skills than what I got. Not to say that there's not some women that have incredible interview skills. I just expected there to be more of them. Besides that, there are certain behaviors that also give a certain feel and portray a certain energy during an interview. And there was one person I marked down just because it was annoying the hell out of me. It was Negros Oriental. That woman refused to make eye contact. And I know it was because she was like going through her brain and she was thinking and she was looking off camera. But when you're giving an interview, you really want to have that eye contact with your audience so that they are engaged and they are listening to what you are saying. If you feel or seem like you're too aloof, they're going to be aloof and distracted too. They're not really going to take what you're saying to heart if you're not making it a point to make that connection with them and keep that engagement through your eyes. It was bugging me to god awful. Like I couldn't take it. She kept looking off, and it's probably a nervous tick. Some women have nervous ticks when they do things. They move around too much. They sway. They say a lot. For God's sakes, ladies, look, note to all women ever in the world. I think we all need to start deleting I believe from our vocabulary. Stop saying I believe, especially when it's just unnecessary in certain sentences. I'm like listening to women say it constantly, and I'm just saying, say what you want to say. You don't need to say I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe I can fly. Babe, believe in yourself, and you do not have to keep saying it to the rest of us. Just keep it in your head and move on with the sentence. But those are certain things that I'm just like, would just irritate me, and probably we could do without in further competition. So I have to be honest about that. That was a little bit of a letdown. But in general, I think that there are some women that kind of forgot who their audience is, who they were supposed to be playing to. Who should we be talking about in this instance? I do have a list. I didn't number it, and I don't really have a ranking for these women specifically. I do have a top 6. So I will tell you who my favorite top 6 are and who like my favorite top 2 are. But the rest of the list really isn't numbered. It's just the women that I felt did well and caught my eye. And I will attempt to read these provinces, but you guys know what it is at this point. I'm gonna do my best, okay? Just one quick thing, like before I attempt to jump into my list, right? I do wanna give a quick little shout out to Elo. You are a motorcycle chick, girl. So am I. Me too. Kawasaki Ninja 650 girl. How you doing? I was just happy when I heard that she was into bikes. If you didn't know, I have a second channel with my family, and I do moto vlogs all the time, and I do ride a motorcycle daily. I love it. So right here with you, girl. Okay, let's do this. Antique Albe, this one I'm not gonna try. Masamas Oriental, Negros Occidental, Oriental Mindoro, okay, I'm messing up left and right, so I'm just gonna put it on the screen. Here's the list of the women. There you go. Because I'm utterly failing today. I'm just failing. Now that you see my list, there was actually 2 separate categories I put some of the women in because a few of them were messing up in a way that they weren't bad interviews, but they weren't portraying themselves properly. Kisses, Cavite, and Angeles City, they did not give bad interviews. In fact, I have included them on the list as people that caught my eye. But these interviews were not nearly as charismatic as they should have been and as some of the other women, especially like my top 2, were. And it's very important when you're going into an interview to know who your audience is, to know who you're supposed to be playing to. Don't start with me, you guys. Really? As soon as I sit down and do a video, y'all want to rev engines. Y'all want to rev engines. But you know you can't keep up on the street though, so pipe down. These women did not seem to completely understand who their audience was. This is an interview challenge. And even though like Cavite's interview is very, very good. She's very well spoken. She's very intellectual. However, I think in her mind, she was playing more to a judging type audience. She was more prepared for a judging panel. But in this scenario, your audience isn't necessarily judges. Your audience is the fan base. In this challenge where you're supposed to be garnering votes from the fans, you should be playing to their wants, needs, and likes. And she was presenting herself more as if it was a legitimate panel job interview, which can be very off-putting to a fan-based audience because it is more important to be charismatic and engaging, regardless of if you have something to say. If you cannot captivate an audience, your message is going to fall on deaf, flat ears. And there was a couple women, including like Cavite, who came off as fun school teachers, news anchors. It was too structured. I felt like we were being lectured to simply because they weren't being natural. They weren't being themselves. They weren't letting loose. Cavite is amongst the top 6, I think. And I'm telling you one of my top 6 right now. Cavite is amongst my top 6 when it comes to interview skills, but her lack of charisma is going to be her downfall, especially when it comes to the top 2 girls on my list. Because in a pageant, that matters. Now, you're interviewing to be a lawyer, your personality is not really gonna come into play. Your intellect is what matters the most. And even in a different system such as Miss Earth, I would place more emphasis on intellect because like Miss Earth is more a scientific-based pageant and you are forced to be more knowledgeable. You're forced to have statistics and knowledge on hand. But a pageant demands that you have that charisma and personality, which I felt like these 3 women, Kisses, Angela City, and Cavite, lacked, and it's going to be to their detriment. Let's talk about kisses real quick because it took me a minute to figure out like who you guys are all talking about. And for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, then you missed the entire discussion that happened during Instagram live stream, but it is still posted on my Instagram. So you might want to go find that because we have discussed kisses before. Kisses did better in this competition than she did in the Runway challenge. She did way better, and don't try me. Don't try. Go watch the live stream because some people want to pull the wall over my eyes and pretend you could pretend whatever you want to pretend. You live in La La Land. I'm going to state true facts here, okay? There's a reason she was not on the Runway challenge list for me, but I can actually say she has decent interview skills. I do not know why they chose to give that woman a microphone. Why? We can hear you. Like look, I have a mic right here, got a mic right, like there's a built-in mic in your computer. There was no need for her to pretend as if she's standing on a stage with a microphone because it lacks that personal connection. It creates distance between you and your audience. If you go back and watch the women who are just sitting there talking to the camera, it feels more personal. You feel more connected to them than her standing up there with a microphone that is just not needed. Who made that call? But she is much, much, much better. Her presentation, like physically, so much better than Runway Challenge. Styling was on point. Like the beauty this girl was exuding is nothing like what we got during Runway. So whoever's styling her now, you do it from now on. Because the person who did Runway and the person who did this look, not the same person. And I wouldn't mention her if she wasn't worthy of taking note of. But in this challenge, she is worthy of taking note of. Now, there is still some developmental issues, regardless of what some of y'all want to say. Debate it or not, but if she wants to win, there's some things that need to be handled. Now let's talk about my top 6. I didn't really put them in particular order except for the top 2. The top 2 are in a particular order because they're the top 2, like whatever, okay? But my top 6, San Juan City, Pangasinan, Cavite, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it only 5? Maybe I had 5. Scratch that. My top 5 are San Juan City, Pangasinan, Cavite. This one I forget how to say. And then I want to talk about the remaining women. My top 2. My top 2. My top 2. Look, the top 2. The top 2. The top 2. The top 2 drove a freight train over everybody else. A freight train. There is such a massive difference between the top 2 and everybody else on the list. I mean, my God, when I was watching these interviews, I wasn't really stirred to emotion. I wasn't even really like, I was just watching them. I wasn't like enthusiastic. I didn't feel a buzz until I hit one of these girls. And I was just like, now I get it. Now I get it. See, one of these girls has a lot of buzz and damn near obsession built around her. And you guys know I'm not a bandwagoner. So until I find out a good reason why I should love a woman, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon no matter what you guys say. But after watching her interview, now I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it. In fact, I'm going to tell you who it is. This woman was the first woman that I put a star next to, and I knew she was the one to beat. Steffi, Cebu province. Good personality. Slap me in the face. Slap me right across my rosy freaking cheeks. Like, sis, the personality just blossomed, bloomed onto the screen. I was smitten by her. Like, this is how you know when an interview is good. When it comes to, for those of you who maybe are not pageant fans like that, you're not avid pageant fans, you're not like in-depth pageant fans. If you want to know an interview is truly good, at the end of the interview, if you don't want to stop talking to that woman, if you don't want to stop hearing that woman, if you want to hear more from her, if you want her phone number at the end of that interview so you guys could keep talking and chatting it up, that is a good interview. That is the effect that a queen is supposed to have on you. I have spoken to queens throughout the years, and I have done a couple times publicly. You guys saw when I did the interview with the entire Miss Earth court, and a lot of you saw when I did a quick discussion with Abina on IG Live unexpectedly. All of these queens have the same thing in common to where when I speak with them, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, I need to go and do something. It feels like I'm talking with a girlfriend. It feels like I am having a good conversation with someone that I have known for a long time. If you go and watch the interview I did with the Miss Earth Queens, like we were giggling, we were laughing, we were having fun. It felt natural. And even after I ended that interview, we stayed on for like an extra 30 minutes, just giggling and laughing and chatting about God knows what, boys and whatnot. Okay, girls, call me, you're great. But when a woman feels like your girlfriend and you just met her, that is the effect of a pageant queen. That is the type of draw and charisma and power that these women have to just automatically draw you in to the point where you are just smitten by them. Like you just love them the same way you love your friends and family. Steffi did that. Steffi's personality blew me away. And now I'm just letting you guys know, with her runway skills and this type of interview, absolute threat. Absolute threat. Like oh my God, her interview is to die for. To die for. Like, Steffi, call me, give me the digits. I'll talk to you about anything. I see an interview like that. I feel like I could discuss paper with this woman, just anything, and she would be fun. Queen. Steffi's my number one, by the way. Steffi in this entire interview challenge, Steffi is my number one. But the other woman who was right on her tail, Tageeg, another woman with a beautiful personality. Honestly, she seemed like she wanted to talk. Like, Tageeg seemed like she had things to say. She wanted to have discord. She wanted to have a discussion. She wanted to share her life with the audience. Like, that woman seemed thoroughly excited and ready to share and answer any question that you had for her. She seemed like she was excited to tell you whatever you wanted to know. Like, she was ready, and I loved it. I loved it. When the women seem like they're having fun on camera, when they're engaged, it makes you feel engaged. It makes you feel involved and invested in what they're saying, what they're doing, what they're trying to portray. This is why that charisma is so important. And these two women, Steffi from Cebu Province and Tageeg, killed y'all with personality. Killed it with personality. These two have personality unlike anybody else in competition. From what I saw in these videos, killed you guys with personality. Like, it was phenomenal. Ladies, please continue to bring that. Please. Those are the types of interviews that are really going to entice and wow a judging panel. But the most important thing, and it was smart on these women's behalf to understand that in this instance, in this challenge, they were not playing to an audience of a panel of judges. Judges may expect that your interview be a little bit more professional and intellectual. But when you are playing to an audience of pageant fans, you have to be more engaging. You have to have that charisma and personality. That's really what's going to set you over the edge. Not to say that we don't enjoy an intellectual queen, absolutely. But especially in pageants, charisma is key. You can be the smartest woman on the planet, but if your personality is as flat as this piece of paper or as flat as my chest when I'm a size 2, it's not doing anything for anybody, okay? They weren't doing nothing for my bikinis. Nothing. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, what about those women that you raved about during Runway Challenge? Well, what happened to them? What do you think about them? I think that there are some lessons to be learned from those two women. The women I'm talking about, if you didn't see the video, were Manila and Laguna. Those were my top 2 during Runway Challenge. I want to start with Manila. Now, Manila is my sentimental fave, okay? She is my sentimental fave, completely under the radar. Y'all was sleeping on her until I said something, but her runway, like, beautiful. Her smile is enchanting, like beaming. And this is something that we all have to keep an eye out for when it comes to our favorites, because a lot of us get enchanted by a fierce runway walk. We love a queen that can perform, and then we wonder why they didn't place. And it's because of stuff like this. Manila's interview came off as extremely uncomfortable, very nervous. And when you don't feel confident, the audience feels uncomfortable watching you. We can tell that you're not comfortable. We can tell that you're not really having fun. And it makes us not have fun. It is severely anxiety provoking. And the fact that she's my sentimental fave makes me sad. Makes me sad because I want her to do well. And because I want her to do well, these are the things that have to be said. And this is why I don't really care about people's feelings when they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you critiqued kisses. Like, they need to know these things. Otherwise, what do I look like sending my sentimental fave into competition, not saying that this is not going to help you win? You have to not only be comfortable, but confident. Your confidence, aura, and energy impacts the audience watching you, which is why, like, when I saw Steffi giving her interview, I was energized because she was energized. I was engaged because she was engaged. If you feel nervous, if you feel withdrawn, if we feel like you want to leave, we want you to leave. Her lack of confidence and comfort in this interview is going to be detrimental in an official interview judging panel scenario. The energy was just off, and it has to be fixed. It has to be fixed in order for her to be a viable threat. You cannot be a runway queen and think that that is going to get you a crown, especially in the Philippines. Not going to happen. Laguna didn't have the same struggles as Manila. Manila just seemed nervous, which is understandable. I mean, it's a nerve-wracking scenario. Hello, especially if you're not used to it. Practice, babes, okay? Get there. Laguna didn't have those struggles. She just seemed stiff, and her ideas and thoughts and words didn't come off as streamlined. One thing that we enjoy as an audience is digestible information. It's when your ideas and your words are easily understood and not broken up by ums and ahs and you shuffling about and moving, and because that gives the impression that you are not comfortable or confident in what you are saying. And if you're not comfortable in what you're saying, why should we listen to what you're saying if you don't even believe what you're saying? Like, it gives a negative energy to your audience. Laguna didn't necessarily feel like she was uncomfortable. It was more like she lacked the confidence and aura and energy of the other women. It didn't really seem like she was engaged and excited to be giving her interview, more so that she was doing what she was told because she had to do it. And that is not something that you want from anyone. Imagine having a significant other and having a conversation with your significant other, telling them about your day, and they just seem like they don't want to be there. Do you really want to continue to have that conversation with them when it feels like you're bothering them, when it feels like they're just being forced to sit there and tolerate you? Like, nobody wants that. That's why you want to have that energy and engagement. And from Manila and Laguna, I didn't get that. And that is something that is integral to giving a good interview. You want to leave your judges feeling like they want to see and hear more of you. You want your judges to feel like they had fun with you. That interview shouldn't even feel like an interview. It should feel like a conversation amongst friends where you got to know each other. You got to learn some things. You maybe giggled together. We want that engagement. So yeah, my list for the Runway Challenge is very different from my list for interview. The only consistent people throughout both lists are Cebu Province, Taguig, Cavite, Pangasinan, San Juan. They weren't high on the list. I think they were in like the bottom 15, but based on what I'm seeing from certain women, their consistency on both ends, whether it be interview or runway, is going to make them a viable threat for finals. Because even if you're number 10 on one list and number 4 on the other, the fact that you're consistently making top rankings on both sides and both ends of the spectrum is very good signs for you. And for those women who are not doing that, this gives a bit of insight on maybe what you need to work on. In the comment section below, let me know who you thought did the best during the interview challenge. Who do you think maybe was the best dressed? Who was the most well-spoken? What type of interview skills do you think are important to portraying a good interview to judges? Is it different giving an interview to judges versus the fans, which I wholeheartedly believe there's a difference, but give me your insight. Who were your faves? Is it possible your fave has something to work on? Some people were mad at me for saying facts about kisses, but you know what? If I can acknowledge that my sentimental fave has some things to work on, you can acknowledge that yours has some things to work on too, okay, babe? Because I still love Manila. I still love Manila, and I can still sit here and say, babe, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. Laguna too, like, chop ladies, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They are some diligent, hardworking ladies, and I thoroughly believe in them, all right? So nobody get your panties in the bunch. The girls are competitors, they're competitive, they know what they signed up for, and they knew that it would be hard. So also, send your warm wishes to them in the comments section, because some of them do pop up every now and then, and say hello. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and remember, I love you, I will miss you, but you know I will be back in a future video. Bye!